Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kirby's Dream Land 3. The last part we reached Cloudy Park, and now we're in the second level, which, God, I love that cloud layering effect. Again, I know, I keep gushing about it, but this game is gorgeous for Super Nintendo. Either way, the second level here in Cloudy Park is possibly one of the easiest ones. You just need to really have the spike ability in order to get the mission, and even then I don't think you can get that until a few rooms in. At that point, you just need to keep it until the end of the level, in which case, you can just clear the mission there. I could recommend Ku for this, which is why I'm keeping him with me, as well as the fact that he just lets me basically skip the entire level. But it is recommendable. Because I do think Ku's spike in particular makes it fairly easy in order to get the mission for this place done. This is, again, the major detriment with having characters that can fly infinitely, and is that you can skip over most of the level design. That was one of the major things that made the Cape Feather in Mario World so broken. And also one of the things that just makes the Kirby series very approachable for beginners is that, due to this, you can just skip over levels that are giving you trouble, more or less. Which is one of the things that made Kirby 64 one of the more difficult Kirby games, but at the same time, it also made it one of the more interesting ones. That's also probably why I'm one of the people that likes both Amazing Mirror and Canvas Curse so much, is that you can't just skip over everything by flying. Due to the level design of Amazing Mirror, you have to go through a lot of stuff because it's basically Metroidvania Kirby, and Canvas Curse, well, you can't really fly at all in that, can you? That reminds me, I still need to play Rainbow Curse, because I have it, I just haven't played it yet. Either way, there's the spike ability. Make sure you get it before entering, I think it's the 6th room in this area, because you need it in order to clear it. Well, not to clear it, to get the mission done. Also, tell me if I'm crazy or not. Was this song in 64? The reason I ask is, I haven't played 64 through in about 2017 now, 12 years-ish. I've tried to start playthroughs every now and then, but it just doesn't really work out too well. Either way, that's what you need to do for the mission. Have Spike and pop that balloon, and once you're to the next room, the baby bird reaches its mother and allows you to get the hot star for this mission. And with that, we're done with the second level of Cloudy Park, so now we can on to the third, which is, as usual, going to be our minigame level. And if I recall the minigame, I think it's my least favorite in the game. I think it is. Ooh, that's a nice little rain effect. The background's kind of bland this time, but I like that rain. Though it makes me wonder why the fire guys aren't being put out. Though at the same time, I forget I think this is the only level in the game. I'm probably wrong about this, again, considering how long it's been since I recorded the first couple of parts. That the fire guys are also thinner. Makes me wonder if that's just a little attention to detail. Probably is. Seems like something Nintendo would do in a case like this. I say that as in Mario, you can just fire fireballs underwater. But that was actually, again, I know I'm going off topic. That was one thing I found oddly missing in Odyssey. There was no fire flower ability. Which, kind of odd to me. I overall don't really mind because that game was just fantastic as it is. And the closest thing that there was to a fire ability from my memory was the Podobo. But, I guess they made it work all the same. That always is just something that is kind of odd with games, though. When an entry in a well-established series is missing one of the most recognizable power-ups. Like, let's see. A Mega Man game without an E-Tank, isn't that right? Mega Man 8. And, did 9 not have them? I feel like 9 didn't have them for some reason, but I'm probably just forgetting. Because I haven't played through 9 since I finally finished the game like 2 years ago. Because 9 took me years to beat. Mostly due to my own stupidity, but yeah. Either way, time for the minigame, and this is, if not my least favorite, second least favorite. What you have to do here, keep in mind the amount of a certain color Gordo there was, like there were just 7 red Gordos there. It's not so bad in the first round, but round 2 onward, they stay on screen for so little time, it is ridiculous. My best advice is, memorize whichever one there's the most of, and hope from there. Because I believe there's exactly 10, maybe 11 on screen. Yeah, I couldn't count any of those there. Thankfully, there was just the one yellow. That's the one I actually happened to catch in that instance. I have been there for about upwards of a half hour trying to get that minigame cleared all the way through in order to get the heart star in this stage. It's annoying. Those are some nice looking clouds in the background there. Though, that foreground's a bit distracting. That is something that's kind of tricky when it comes to foreground elements in platformers, in that unless it's a specific stage gimmick where you're not supposed to be able to see too much, like that one room in Bowser's Castle in Mario World. If you put too much of it in, it becomes very annoying to actually play the game due to how much your view is obstructed. Though something I find very visually distinct about this foreground effect is that nearly every cloud looks like it's made of eggs. That's an odd thought, and it's a very visually obvious one, but for some reason, that's all I can think of whenever I see this. Which, in a way, also reminds me of Mega Man, due to the birds you can encounter in Airman Stage and Cloudman Stage in 7. Those kind of enemies just always remind me of something like this, you know? Either way, that's the third stage of World 4 down. Let's head on to the next one. Annoying minigame, but the stage itself, fairly easy. Well, no, actually, no, it is easy. I guess that is the way they try to balance out some of the heart stars in this game, in that for the more annoying ones that you might have to redo over and over again, like that one, they'll give you an easier stage to make up for it. Also, hi, Gourmet Race, still not fond of your remix in this stage. Which heart star is this, though? Is it? Yeah, okay, I know which one this is, actually. We need to grab Koo here and basically keep him with us the rest of the stage. We don't need to clear the stage with him. The stage where you need a certain animal buddy to clear it for the heart star isn't until the next stage. But it's recommendable, in fact, you need Koo in order to still get the one here. Because to use previous level tropes, this is the heart star mission where you need to rescue something from within the stage. And I think we're coming up on it fairly soon on where the thing we need to rescue is. Like that background, though. Nice layering going on there. Plus the coloring with the blue and the little purple beneath it. Oh, that's so nice. That is something I admit that is stuff I've paid more attention to as I've grown older, the way things actually look and are made up of in terms of composition. Particularly in backgrounds of games. And that's probably just due to the fact that I've been taking more and more artistic classes. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about why, but that's stuff that's been happening. Also, Koo Cutter is really good. Koo anything in this game is just really good. Koo Fire is probably the worst of them all, just because I think off the top of my head, aside from Koo Stone, it's the only one that has a direct trajectory to it. But even then, I still think Koo Stone actually... No, Koo Stone might be worse than Koo Fire. You know, I just may have realized why I don't like this remix of Gourmet Rice too much. It's not just the fact that it sounds too soft. It sounds like some parts of it are just wet farts. Which, is not the first time I think I've described a song like that. Whenever I get to Sonic 4, that'll be the main way I describe that stuff. Alright, this Parasol mini-boss, though, is the thing you need Koo for, because after this mini-boss is the room you need him for. So if somehow you don't have Koo yet, you're in trouble. Because I believe the moment we enter this room, if I could enter the door, that was me looking at my notes, we need to get this orange. And now the mission's cleared, can just continue on through the stage. This is a room that I've always had trouble with for some reason. Probably because I'm far too reckless, and combined with the wings, it's hard for me not to get hit here. And despite being a game where you have a total of 10 hit points, it is pretty easy to get hit here. Though, admittedly, that also, I think, is just something the Kirby series has done in general for the most part. Your health doesn't really get restored in between stages. In some entries. I believe some they do get restored between. And that just always throws me off when it's a game where they don't. Again, that's probably just my Mega Man speaking, because unless it's weapon energy between castle stages, you're almost always getting a full restore. And there's the heart star for stage 5. No, stage 4. Stage 5 is the next one, Kyle. And Stage 5 in Cloudy Park is probably my overall favorite in the world. Because it's our usual get a certain animal buddy to the end of the stage. And if you could tell by the little portrait there, we need to find Rick in the stage and get him to the end of it. And that is actually a pretty fair challenge in this case. I like this level a lot. I also love that background coloring. Pink and blue, cotton candy, again. Nice stone texturing as well, the graphics at least, on the actual platforms. Finding Rick here is a bit of a trek on its own, because I think you have to wait a bit before getting him. Though, alternatively, you could just go to a previous level and bring him in to start, which could make some things faster, I suppose. Because I think when running, most of the animal buddies actually run faster than standard Kirby. I think. Pidge, maybe not. Same with Choo Choo, just due to how they move. But I think that's overall just a general consensus. That is... That was weird grammar, even for me. What the hell? I mean, I'm not known for speaking the best, but come on, Kyle. You're better than this. I want the thing that's down here, because there's going to be something down here. There we are. I'll always take a free health restore. I believe it's in this room where you can actually find Rick. Yeah, there you are, buddy. Come here. Okay. I'm gonna get really dumb here about my past. The name Rick always actually stands out to me for a few specific reasons. First off, I should go over Rick's major ability, aside from just being able to jump on things and eat things, is that, unlike Kirby's Dream Land 2, he can actually jump on walls this time, giving him a bit of a Mega Man X wall jump, and you need that in order to climb up platforms as him. Either way, as I was saying, Rick was not only the name of my neighbor's father, which I remember because, obviously, same age as the neighbor, but some of you might recall Webkins, that old fad that I think you can actually still find in, like, some AC Moors or stuff like that. My first Webkins, because I played that for a phase in my life, was a Dalmatian I named Rick. I think that Dalmatian plushie is actually still in my closet, too. I would open it up, but I don't feel like having things fall on me, because it's an unorganized closet. A lot of Gundam model boxes. This is probably the most perilous jump in the entire stage. That is very nerve-wracking to make, as is, I believe, this entire room, because you got a lot of jumps you need to sprint over, and it's just annoying, but a fun kind of annoying. I like this stage a lot because it's actually tight, skill-based platforming. Plus, it doesn't take forever, unlike some previous stages. Also, very minor detail, I like that the dandelions blow apart when you touch them. That's nice. Little details like that can really make a game. That's something I actually do think Odyssey did really well. There's a lot of nice little details like that. Same with Breath of the Wild. In fact, Nintendo is in general really good with that. Either way, that's that stage. We got the Heart Star. I'm probably going to abandon Rick very soon because I don't like using him very much, even though I like that stage a lot. And I think he's animated adorably. I'm glad those don't damage you, because don't those look like something that would probably damage you? Either that or maybe reduce your star count. Okay, this might be the most annoying not-minigame stage in this world. Although I love that chalky look they have going on there in the background. You might remember back in, I think it was World 1 or was it World 2? There was a level where the mission we had to do was find this group of blocks and destroy enough of them so that it made a certain pattern. We need to do that again here. I think it was actually World level 6 in World 2. We need to find a room just like that and do it again. The major hint to that is not only an NPC you can find with the exact same pattern as their body shape, but that NPC is also the portrait, so you can get a good hint on how to do it. This stage on its own, though, not too bad. A bit of waiting in it because there's these little mage guys that you need to destroy the blocks above you and also to access the door. But overall, fairly standard otherwise. I believe it's a long stage off the top of my head, but otherwise, eh. Also, I don't think I've commented on it, but I love if you enter a room where you can get animal buddies with an animal buddy, or if you choose one in there to begin with, all the other animal buddies actually have an expressive sprite to show how disappointed they are in you choosing someone else. Like, look at Tago over there. He wants to fight. That's an adorable attention to detail. Also, for some reason, this enemy visually reminds me a lot of a Wizrobe, even though I don't think Wizrobes ever looked distinctly like that in any Zelda game. I guess it might be more reminding me of Aghanim from A Link to the Past, but hell if I know. Also, I love the cloud effects. That's really cool looking. If there's anything that Ku really isn't good for, it's this game's more closed-in level design. Or at least in stages like this, because you can't really take full advantage of his speed in it. Because Ku might actually be the speedrunner favorite, probably. I have never watched a Kirby speedrun, aside from ones at GDQs, and I don't think Dreamland 3 has ever been one of those. In fact, you know what? Dreamland 3 speedrun. Either way, that's the guy we need to mimic. I do believe once we actually get to the room, though, we actually have to change something about the way the guy looked. Because if you compare what we just looked at there to what we saw on the, what's it called? Level portrait back in the world map screen, he was upside down. So basically it becomes a 50-50 shot of which one's correct. It's the one where the 3 blocks is on the bottom. This is actually a fairly precise one to do, and I recommend just doing it with Kirby alone, though, because otherwise it can be a little bit annoying. Let's see. Kirby's Dreamland 3 speedrun.com. Here we are. An hour and a half for best ending. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Any percent. And out. Wow. Missions only take you like 20 minutes? Really? 100% takes an extra 20 minutes for best ending, though. Holy hell. Because that is a thing that, if I recall, Dreamland 2 did as well. In order to get 100% in this game, you need to get everything in the main stages and then do some minigame stuff afterwards. I'm going to not show off the minigame stuff when we actually get to that, but it is there, obviously. Now, if I recall, this room is annoying, because I don't think the doors are one-to-one what it is on the opposite side. I think they're in reversed order. Or at least something around those lines. Because it doesn't feel like it's exactly one-to-one. Yeah, look, last door on this room is the second one on the other. So, things are not as they seem here. Which, kind of weird, but puzzle elements, I suppose. And here they just give you free items, basically, with all these items. I don't care for going for any of them, except for, I think maybe the 1-up and the health, but it's there. 1-ups because I'm desperately low on lives throughout this entire game because I'm not playing it in one session. And health because, really, I take a lot of stupid hits in this game. Which, again, is partially just due to inexperience compared to other games. I like the Kirby series, but I just don't play it as often as I do other Nintendo properties. That was a dumb hit. I do believe we're getting towards the end of the stage now, because now we're basically back in the first room, only now some of the drawings will come to life. Which, actually, I just realized these drawings foreshadow something that's coming up. In the next 6 minutes, roughly. Called a hunch based off the timestamp and the fact that I edited the video. And there's our hard star for this stage. And with that, we only have the boss of World 4 left, and it's probably my least favorite of the main bosses in the game, purely due to how long it takes. Our boss for this stage is Addo. And, well, it's sort of Addo, because Addo's main gimmick is that he paints enemies for us to fight. We have to go through about, I think it's 4 or 5 different mini-bosses before we go after Addo himself. And this can take a while, as you can tell by the timestamp. Thankfully, all of the mini-bosses themselves, I think, are easier than most of the other bosses we've fought so far. It's just due to the fact you have to go through so many of them. I believe some of these also became normal enemies or recurring bosses later on, which, you know, that's cool. They also have less health, which helps. Yeah, this guy's kind of ugly. Something that also makes a lot of these mini-bosses easier than normal bosses is that, aside from moving around, they generally only have 1 or 2 attacks. One of which can usually harm you, the other one you can use to harm them back. Like, this guy can sometimes shoot multiple projectiles or one large star, this one, that you can suck in and throw back at him if you are good at aiming. He doesn't always do it multiple times in a row, though. He'll often just do one at a time. That also could be the phase counter that these Kirby bosses have going in. Kicking in, rather. But that said, though, I do love Addo's little postures down the right. He's like, gonna get him? Come on, man. Do it. Let's see, what's the third boss? Oh, yeah, these two. This is technically a recurring boss in the franchise. Although I forget if we've seen their first appearance yet, because I think they first appeared in Adventure, which I have yet to do. I don't recall them showing up in Dreamline 2. What you have to do for this one, you can only damage one of the two at a time, which is the one that's on the bottom, using the opposite element's attack. They'll trade places, and that's about it for the first phase. However, when you take down one of them, the pattern changes to where they'll start, the last one will start moving around in an erratic pattern, and you just have to damage them during that, really. There's not really much explaining you can do for a Kirby boss, because more often than not, unless it's the final boss, their patterns are fairly self-explanatory. Yeah, I think they start moving in like either a zigzag or a figure 8 pattern. Yeah, it's figure 8. Getting that last hit on this can actually be fairly tricky, though, just due to the fact you have to compensate for their more erratic movements. Let's see, what's the next one? Oh, gee! Hi, Kracko. Yeah, because this fight hasn't been long enough as it is, huh? This is probably my least favorite boss in the game, though, just due to how long it takes in comparison. Like, Wispy, Poon and Coon, Pon and Con, rather. Ooh, not Poon. I forget the name of the whale already. But those bosses, interesting bosses, but they also didn't take too long. Addo here can take a bit too long, and it's never good when a fight overstays its welcome. I'm looking at you, Yazmat, and 12. Ugh. Mind you, I say this, but I happily went out of my way for the super boss in Final Fantasy 15 and did it in less time than people usually do, surprisingly. Kracko, though, his pattern is fairly unchanged compared to fairly earlier entries. Goes around, shoots lightning bolts. Nothing really interesting. I love the way he looks in this game, though. I love the purple and pink shading on the top and bottom to add some depth. That's really cool looking. Now, if only the rest of this boss fight were more interesting. I believe at this point, Addo goes out of his way to try attacking us, and as you can tell by the health bar on the bottom, he's not a very healthy lad. Just slide into him and he's done. Bye. And that's Cloudy Park done and over with. It has probably one of the most annoying minigames in the game in it. And also some of the longer levels that just aren't very interesting aside from visuals. So it's just not a very interesting world to me in the long run. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. And in part 6, we'll be heading on to the 5th and final main world in the game and seeing what that holds for us in the future. See you guys then.